Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
My camera is not working. So I have a couple of slides prepared, actually an entire presentation. So I will share my screen in a second.
And Leo, who do we
Yes.
talk to about the Talkify? Because I knew to go into the notes to get the passcode, but maybe a new person might not because it doesn't show the passcode.
Right. The meeting invite does not list the passcode, right? Yeah. Would be good to update that. We have to go through the service desk for that.
Okay.
I can take a note for later.
Okay.
Maybe drop it in a Slack channel. Oh yeah, you already did. If you're talking, Leo, you're muted.
Yep. Okay. So we have 10 participants. Okay, I think we can get started. So this is a kind of a special meeting because usually we just share the meeting notes, as also linked in the TAG Environmental Sustainability message. So we have usually, if we meet every 2 weeks, an agenda and a lot of items, and then we discuss what happened in the last 2 weeks and what we are working on and so on. But this meeting is a little bit different. So we will talk about the tag itself, and we expected after KubeCon to have a lot of new faces. So this meeting is to give an overview what the tag is about and also how to get started contributing. All right. So this is kind of has a similar structure as the tag talk we had at KubeCon. Maybe some of you joined our talk, maintainer talk. It's also online on YouTube. So there's like a couple of things also picked up on this slide, which are very similar, but we have more time. This meeting is longer. We don't need to rush, and also this is more interactive in a way that if you have like any questions, just drop a message in chat, or just unmute yourself, raise your hand or something. Right. Okay, so first we will talk about the CNCF itself. I think quite a few of you are already kind of aware how the CNCF is structured, but we will pick this up a little bit. So we know how the tag environmental sustainability is embedded in the community. Then we just have one brief notice about the charter, so we know basically our outline, what we are been discussing in the tag. Then we talk about the projects. So there's quite a few projects, and there are like a lot more in our heads, in everyone's heads. So there we will spend quite some time on the projects, and then we will discuss briefly how to get started. So this is also gives like a more general overview how to get started in open source, but also in the tag specifically. All right, cool stuff. So the organization. So maybe just like a quick question to all of you. Are you maintainers, or are you end users, or if you, I don't know, just want to, if some of you would like to introduce yourself quickly and say maybe where you're coming from, what is your background? Just if you like,
hey,
could go around.
I can start. I can start if you can hear me. I'm Alessandro. Maybe some of you know me. I organized Kubernetes Community Days Amsterdam and the meetup in Amsterdam, and I'm an ambassador. And I, of course, like have unconditional love for the planet. So I really would like to do my part, right?
Nice, awesome.
We can go next. I'm Andreas. I would consider myself an end user, although my company Dynatrace is a CNCF partner and also contributor to at least the Captain project that I know of, and maybe something else as well.
Yeah, I can go next. My name is Samuel, and majorly I can say I see myself as a end user. So yeah, but even though I'm into one or two open source, yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Antonio. I come originally from Italy, but I'm working in Germany for Data Reply. Yeah, this is my first getting start in the community, and I'm looking forward to see how to apply those principles in the project we work on a daily basis.
All right. Hey all, my name is Brian. I went to college for environmental science, and then I've done a lot of remediation work and cleanup, but I'm in coding boot camp right now. So I finally am going to join the bot army. Anyway, so I'm in my last few weeks of boot camp. So I was trying to get more involved in open source and environmental science. So I figured this was a good place to start.
Hello, my name is Christian Blas. I work on France, and I am working on a way to turn off cluster servers in order to reduce energy consumption.
All right. Super cool to have all you here.
Maybe you should also say why a couple of us don't say so much.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us are kind of already not new to the TAG environmental sustainability, but joining maybe because we are around for quite some time. So I mean, I can also introduce myself. Maybe this would be actually a good start of the discussion. So my name is Leo, or Leonard Parker. I'm one of the co-chairs. I'm also a CNCF ambassador. I led the Kubernetes release 1.26. I'm currently an emeritus advisor for 1.28. And I'm a student. I'm studying computer science with a focus on green software or sustainable software and cloud in general. So cloud was like my original topic, and now green software is like the specialization, I would say. And yeah, I'm doing a bunch of open source work.
I'm Max. I'm also co-chair for the TAG, also CNCF ambassador. See, there's a kind of pattern behind it, organizing KCD Ukraine and KCD Munich, and a few other stuff. And if not being here in the open source world, then my day job is to run a company that primarily implement open source tools for the customers. So all day open source for me.
And all day open source for me as well. I'm Kara Delia. I'm a principal community architect within the open source program office at Red Hat, and am a co-founder with Max and Leo, and am the technical lead for the TAG. And also, I actually studied environmental policy and planning. So Brian, I'm in your boat. But I'm not a part of the bot army, totally. Welcome, everyone.
I can go probably as well. I'm assigned to take notes, so I'm trying to multitask a bit here. But my name is Christina, and I am based in Oslo, Norway. I'm a recent joiner to TAG Environmental Sustainability, and I have also a very big unconditional love for sustainability everywhere, both in my personal life but also at work. And now I get to use this opportunity to also contribute more to this aspect in open source and cloud native space. So yeah, I've been to the project meeting during KubeCon and also to one of the first sessions after that of the working group. So yeah, looking forward to contributing more with all of you.
All right, cool. I think we are around the room. Everybody introduce themselves. By the way, thanks so much for taking notes. That's great. Okay, so let's get going. So this is like a very basic overview about what over the tags. So you can see all the different tags, and tags stands for Technical Advisory Group. So it's a community group. So it's not filled with CNCF employees. These are all community members. So folks who are working at some companies, who are maybe studying or at some place, and they're just interested in one particular domain in the cloud native field. So we started, I think, a couple of years ago with 6, so special interest groups. Now they are technical advisory groups. And the idea is that these technical advisory groups extend the technical oversight committee. And together with the TUC, Technical Oversight Committee, we kind of like build the ecosystem in our field. We work with projects in the way that we see where are the needs of the projects, where is this field going, and so on. And we build standards. We are discussing at conferences these topics and so on. But there's like a more proper overview in the charter document. Of course, there's like a lot more in the CNCF overall going on. So there's also the governing board, for example, or the CNCF staff, and also some other committees. But for us, this is like the relevant path. So the all the different kinds of tags. Maybe also you're already contributing to another tag, or you're interested in another field. The other tags are also looking for new folks showing up. So you can also have a look there. All right. Any questions so far? Otherwise, so this is like something that we are discussing right now. So we are trying to build more leadership. So as you might have heard, so we've created this group last fall. So we are relatively young, and this means is that we are still building and growing maintainers, so to say, in our technical advisory group. And we started out with the co-chairs who are driving this project since the beginning. And some tag members also stayed around, but we are now trying to get more leadership. This means that we are pushing in the direction slowly to create projects, that some of you can maybe lead a project, which is like a temporary project, and then maybe we write a white paper, or we give some guidance or something in this direction. So I think this is like important for everyone to know, because there's like also a path. If you're like very interested in this topic, you can also be you can obviously show up whenever you like, but you can also take leadership and build projects, build teams. You can bring up your own idea in this cloud native sustainability field, and we are here to like grow this idea and help you on the way. Right. So this is all defined in the governance. So there's quite an extensive Markdown documents under the TAG Environment Sustainability repro if you're interested in particular in the roles. But bottom line is that we are looking for more leadership. If you're interested in this space, this would be awesome. All right, then going on to the charter. So our goal is in general that we advocate for our domain. In our case, it's environment sustainability. So we want to understand like what is the role of environment sustainability play in the cloud native field? Where are we at? How can we improve that? Where are the necessary tools? Where do we lack maybe some like general understanding of the topics? And our role is also to identify on a very high level any possible like projects. We don't code projects. This is like something outside of the tag, but we advise the TUC and also advise maybe projects how to mature into a more into an open source community. So we also collaborate with those projects to maybe get them on the way to a sandbox stage or incubation stage. Right. So this is like a very general high-level overview. There's like a more defined charter in our on our website and also in the repository. And then to the projects. So this is like a longer part. So the first one is we've been working on the landscape document. This is quite a long document. It's also available on the website now. And this is a first 0.1 version, which means that we know there's quite a few gaps in this document. But as an overview, you can see here this organizational chart, this mind map. So to understand where we are at in environment sustainability, we have a lot of different toolings. So observability tooling to know, for example, energy metrics and then calculate the carbon footprint and so on. Then it plays also a role, the infrastructure tooling to schedule resources, to scale up resources and to tune those resources. So everything obviously in the field of cloud native and in the cloud. So we are not looking into Go libraries or something like this, even if it's relevant. In this case, we would collaborate with other organizations, maybe if it's important for our projects. Then also data centers play a role. Of course, we don't go as deep as like what should the structure if you design a data center, for example, in your basement or for your company. This is out of scope for us. But there's like the intersection, for example, if we connect with smart data centers or data meters, this is then again interesting for us. And of course, we should not lose out of sight that at the end, the software which we run requires hardware resources, requires natural resources. So we need to make this connection. And then also on the right side, there's methodologies. So basically, what are the overlying methods to observe our cloud native systems? So maybe there's like a room to build standards for our industry, to discuss with cloud providers how to measure their resources and so on. So this is like a very high level overview. Things like network, for example, is missing. So I guess in the next version, that's something that we for sure will add. But yeah, if you are aware of anything in this direction, it would be great to have your PR flying in just to add your thoughts. Maybe you came across like a very interesting standard or a very interesting tool which is connected to our field. This would be great. So I think the landscape document is a great way to start, for example, also. Okay. Right, I see in the chat there's the landscape document. Right, so it's on the website. So we have a couple of mermaid diagrams which are not right now rendered. So you can also take a look at the repository. So I can send the link in a second. There it is. Okay, cool. Right, so the landscape document, as I said, this is 0.1. We expect to have maybe a next release every half year or so. So maybe at the next KubeCon, we will have the next version. So in the meantime, we can work on improvements. Right, so the next thing, which is on our list, like in general, which is maybe like a weird way to say project. So it's not really a project, but it's like on our list. So we reach out to projects in the cloud native space. So Kepler, for example, also applied now for a sandbox stage, but also other tools. Keda, for example, is already part of the CNCF. Or Cube Green, I think, is looking to maybe apply at some point to a sandbox stage. So we are contacting the maintainers from those projects and inviting them to give a presentation to us. So we are aware where they at, what is on their horizon, what are the needs, and maybe also discuss a way to contribute their project to the CNCF. But this is not like a requirement. We are interested regardless in a way. So we've been starting this. So next week we have, for example, the creator of Scaphandra is giving a demo about the project. We had in the past a demo about Cube Green and Kepler, and probably we will have more and more over time. So if you, for example, if you have like your own tool, if you created your own tool, which is in this space, would be great to hear from the tool. And we can definitely have maybe 20 minutes or something in one of our meetings carved out to discuss your project and maybe also discuss how to build a community around it and maybe what is missing to apply for a sandbox stage if this is something that you're interested in. There's a lot more tools, so this is like just a selection. So in the landscape document, for example, you find more links to other projects. Okay.
Just one question about the tech deliverables to the open source projects. This is not 100% yet defined. This is what we can still define by ourselves. At the moment, we have one concrete request where it's like, hey, can you advise us how to get more energy efficient? This is a very broad request, I would say, and something which we cannot just out of the box bring and deliver. But definitely something which we maybe should target at some point in time. And the other request is like, hey, how do we measure actually concretely our energy and maybe also our CO2 footprint in the end? For the latest request, we have opened an issue, a proposal for a project. We currently try to write down a little bit more how we would like to implement. And then for this, we really need someone, we're looking for a team who is like implementing it and helping the projects to advise here.
All right. Does this solve your question or?
Yeah, those thanks.
Okay, cool. Okay, Max has to go. That's fine. Okay, going on. Maturity model. So this is also something we started, but we are missing someone to lead this project. So we have quite a lot of projects which we started. So we are running kind of out of capacity for this one. But I think this is like something very interesting. So you might have heard about the maturity.cncf.io, so the cloud native maturity model. And I think there's like a need to extend this model. So it does not mention sustainability, environmental sustainability. So this is like on us to collaborate with the team to extend this model and maybe also build like a separate model to this, depending if like the structure from the maturity model is good for us, or maybe there's the need to like have like a separate additional resource maturity model. So maybe some of you already have some experience in this field. This involves not writing code, for example, and it's probably a lot more like discussions around organization and management things, and it does not require any code knowledge. So for example, so this already shows that you can, of course, build your own tool. You can write code and build something on top of Kubernetes or some other tool. You can stick around in our meetings. You can also work on something like this, or advise maybe like the community in presentations and meetups. So it's kind of diverse. Is there anybody who's interested, for example, in the maturity model, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in this part of the efforts. It's sort of I think the best approach is to extend, like including green software and sustainable software in the maturity model. So as for example, TAG security does for security, I think it should be treated like the same, right? So if your software must be secure, then it must also be green, and that makes you fully mature in a cloud native computing foundation sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
I see it the same way, because it feels like should be part of every step instead of a thing you do after you matured on this scale.
Yeah. Right. So we are, I think, still in the industry kind of early with everything, but we are kind of slowly are noticing, okay, our resources are actually consuming a lot of energy. We don't have endless energy. At least, for example, in Germany, we have like a huge transition to environment sustainable renewables. And this is like a huge effort. So reducing in general the energy consumption is also great. And this should be included in the maturity process. 100% agree. So you can see, for example, here, there's also the issue link to issue 50 if you're interested in that. Moving on. Right, Kubernetes and sustainability. So this is, of course, we are in the CNCF, and Kubernetes is one of the, main projects. And I think Kubernetes is also in a very interesting position where we have a lot end users who are using Kubernetes, and Kubernetes is used for huge systems. So if we, for example, write a CAP to improve, I don't know, if we discover the energy consumption easily, if we integrate some things or build a new API, I think this can go a long way and can really make like a big difference in the industry itself, can enable other companies to integrate more easily their sustainability metrics or anything they want to collect. So I think this is something very interesting. We don't have any CAPs right now who are really pointing out those environmental sustainability issues, I think, as far as I'm aware. So I think there's a lot of room, a lot of discussions to be held in the future about this. And we kind of outlined like a path for this one. So first, we set to collect some best practices and maybe also write a blog post around it or a white paper, depending how much we find. So we are in in this at this stage. We are also looking for more input and also more communities folks who are very in depth. Then if we have this best practice identified, then it would be interesting to detect missing pieces. So maybe there's like, we are missing APIs, or we are missing maybe like a different kind of deployment or something like this. And also then like writing our guides. So this is more or less our path for this one, but we are also missing, as I said, like contribution. So if you have like a lot of knowledge about Kubernetes, if you're in the field of scaling up, scale down, and very community specific, this could be super cool. Right. So this is a project which is relatively new. CNCF Sustainability Week, Environment Sustainability Week. So we have been discussing this at KubeCon and also a little bit before then. So we are in the stage where we still need to understand. So we are always hearing like, I don't know, this customer or this company developed their own, I don't know, reporting for energy metrics or something like this. So I think there's a lot going on in the industry, a lot self-baked tools and also understandings, different kinds of ideas what this field is. So getting this knowledge, sharing this knowledge and understanding where we're at is still on our to-do list, and organizing meetups is one way to really get this discussion going. And this is basically an effort in this direction. So we have in the CNCF community groups, a lot of community groups around the globe. So for example, I also organize a community group in Hamburg. The next meetup is on 1st of June, if you're if you happen to be at Hamburg at that point. Max is also organizing one. I think Alessandro is organizing one in Amsterdam, and there's like a ton more. So it could be very cool if we leverage those community groups and have meetings, meetups, local meetups in a particular week. I don't know, maybe end of the year or so, about this topic, and just discuss at the groups environment sustainability things, and maybe invite some companies who are building startups in this direction, or just also major companies who are building their task forces, and that get the discussion going. And then this could also be interesting to have a more like what we have right now, like an introduction to the TAG environment sustainability. So we could have a virtual event and yeah, onboard new folks. Right, and in the same fashion, we also have meetups. So some of you also joined the meetup, which we had a couple of weeks ago at KubeCon, cloudnative-con in Amsterdam. So we are planning to do this for every like bigger event where we are attending. Today is actually funny coincidence. Today is also a meetup. If you are in Vancouver, if you happen to be in Vancouver right now, there's a meetup organized by some of us. So this is, I think, like a great way also to just have like a more one-to-one, face-to-face meetup between us and the TAG. So we are also getting to know each other and maybe have some more time besides our bi-weekly calls to chat. So if, for example, you're attending Open Source Summit in Europe, there's one in September. I will be there for sure. We can organize another meetup. So happy to work on that with you. Then we already shared the website. So the website just lists some general information about the tag itself. It also lists the events and meetups. So for example, for KubeCon, and I think also for the Open Source Summit, we shared some links to the talks who are relevant for our field. So who are maybe about energy, calculating the energy consumption of your IT resources or something similar. We also, for example, list documents like the landscape document, maybe in the future also a glossary or the maturity model, or maybe some white papers, maybe the presentation slides, and so on. And most importantly, we can also publish blogs. So if you, for example, wrote a blog, or if you're planning to write a blog about this topic, we can also push this on this website. So this might be very cool for you. So we can also tweet about it, and maybe we can also push it to the CNCF blog. So I think this can also be very interesting and cool way to share some knowledge, what you have about this field. It's can also be very scientific. So one thing which is kind of nice, so we have like our blog, and there's also the CNCF blog. And for our blog, we can control the content. So if it's maybe more, I don't know, not as cloud native maybe as it should be for the CNCF blog itself, we can still publish it on our blog. So we have the flexibility there. Do we have a webmaster that manages the website? So we have so it's the website itself is part of the repository. So you can, let me share the website. So the entire website is in this folder, basically the website folder, and it contains all the Markdown files and everything. So the website is built with Hugo. So we can just create a new Markdown file and it renders basically on the website. And we have also some support from the CNCF. So for example, in terms of styling and maybe creating some, I don't know, like some maybe diagrams or so, we can reach out, or integrating new plugins.
Yeah, I was thinking about writing maybe a blog, because sometimes I do also at my company about, like the whole journey into getting started to the CNCF community and getting started into a tag. And I would appreciate some feedback and like guidance. If you have some, like I could share a structure and like we could have some comments together to see if it fits well with what you're thinking about. Like, what do you think?
Cool. So we have one blog in pipeline for getting started with the tag, and also giving like a more general overview about sustainability and what is cloud native. So for everyone who is new also to the cloud native space, this is like an entry point. We've been also working on an issue template, which structures like the process, how to get a blog post out. There's like, I think right now the PR is still in review. So in the future, you can just open a PR, describe your scope of the blog and so on, and then mention it in the tag channel, and one of us can pick it up and write some comments about it, and we can sync on the scope. And I think also in general, so there's like tons of blogs around what is cloud native, what is the CNCF and so on. But I think it's still very valuable to write more blogs about this kind of stuff, how to get started with open source and so on, because this is still like an issue which comes up every time, like a lot. So writing about it and having different folks with different point of views on this topic sharing their insights is very good. So I mean, even if we have this blog post which is right now in pipeline, which sounds kind of similar like the one which you imagine, we can still write another one, which shares like some different point of views, and maybe you can complement it in a way.
Sure, thanks. I'll take a look to the pull request then.
Yeah, let me see. Wait. So this is the PR to add the issue template. And moving on. Okay, so other organizations. So there, we are of course not alone. So there's a lot more different organizations out there, and also in the scientific space, which are not listed here, and so on, who are also interested in the same direction, but have slightly a different scope. So we have our cloud native scope, and of course we are connecting in some areas to other things where different organizations have their scope in. So we need to kind of complement each other outside of the CNCF. And we are already doing that. We are planning to maybe send one of the TAG Environment Sustainability members to the Green Software Foundation meetings, the LF energy meetings, and so on. And maybe some of them also join our meetings. So we have like kind of an ambassador role, and just make sure that we have that we don't miss out on collaboration and any projects that come up. But this is not this is planned. So if you are, for example, very interested, or if you're already part of a different foundation, this would be super great. So if you could share, for example, what the LF Energy is up to, or some other organization. Right, and then there's of course quite more projects. So if you list just the issues, so we have 20 issues. Some of them are not really projects. Maybe they're about something else. But there's a lot more, or a little bit more. This is like the most important ones, I think. But also, as I said in the beginning, so we are looking for more leadership. So if you are interested in like maybe something very specific, I don't know, security and sustainability, which I find also super interesting, and maybe have like some concrete idea, just open up an issue, propose a new project, and we can start from there. So this is not a finite, not like a complete list in a way. We are very much in the process of building new projects, completing projects, and so on. Okay, and then let's get started, or the best practices to getting started. Right, so I think for some of you, this is like very like it depends quite a bit where you're at. So some of you, maybe like Alessandro, who are quite experienced in the CNCF, already a CNCF ambassador, leading projects, contributing to projects, and so on. So I think for folks like you and others, it's kind of like a known environment. So we are not different than any other tag in a structure, how we deal with contributions or something like this. So it's kind of the same fashion. If you're a long time around in the Kubernetes community, there's also it's pretty much similar in the way how we communicate, how we structure meetings, how we work on projects, and so on. If you are experienced in contributing to like code and writing code, but you are not experienced in community things, this is, as I said in the beginning, that we don't work on code itself. We are like an advisory group, so there's like probably a lot of new things to you. I think on the next slide there's like an overview also for that. And then of course, if you're new to open source, there's quite a bit new to learn. So if you're new to open source, so I think this gives a very interesting overview what contributions can look like. So not everything is code. Not all contributions need to be code. Especially for the tag, we don't have any code. I mean, we have the website, so there's maybe some JavaScript. This could be code, but we don't have a project itself. So everything, our focus is more on writing guidance, documentation in a way. I mean, documentation relates to code, so probably it's more community work, governance, and then also some operations things. So this is like our main focus, that we collaborate with the projects, that we build standards, that we talk at conferences, that we build, have the discussion going. What is cloud native sustainability, and so on. So if you're completely new to open source, the best first thing to do is joining this meeting, but also joining the other meetings. Also joining the Slack TAG Environment Sustainability channel. If you have not, probably you already have, because otherwise maybe you haven't heard about the meeting. But this is the best first thing. So if you join the Slack, you're kind of aware about everything which is going on. So if you follow along, you can see, I don't know, someone dropped in a message, I opened up an issue, could you look for support or something like this, and then you can follow along what is going on. So this is like the first thing. We also have an email list, but the email list is, we prefer Slack, and we just send out emails very rarely, maybe if there's like a major update. So you don't miss out if you don't join the email list. Right, then what you can do is browse the open issues. So what you can see on the right side, some of the issues are tagged help wanted, but even if they are not tagged help wanted, it's always good to jump in. And if, for example, if you review something and you don't understand what is going on, or maybe you have like some concerns about it, you don't need to be entitled to anything. You can share your opinions and your thoughts on anything. And especially on the ones who are help wanted, because there we need support to really drive this. This could be like a great start. So I would just browse through the issues and check, okay, maybe, I don't know, organizing a meetup is not something for me. It's a little bit boring, but I think something else could be very cool. So there's like tons of different kinds of stuff. Then in general, like ask questions and open issues. So if you're interested, for example, in the field, if you're interested in writing a blog post, you can just drop a message in the Slack and just ask your questions. I mean, that's otherwise you cannot get the word out, and we cannot talk about your ideas. So that's the first thing. And then if you're new, there's also tons of guides and articles out there which you can follow up on. A couple of good resources are, for example, the contribute.cncf-contributors website, which is a little bit more high level. Then Kubernetes has an awesome guide in some things. So for example, CLI, CLA, and so on. It's specific to Kubernetes, but 90% or so stuff is general, which also applies to our tag. So you can also follow along there. And then we also have a contributing.md file. So that's lists also how to contribute, how to get started. And we are working on getting this more refined and improve on that. So for example, if you are reading through our contributing.md file and you think there's, I don't know, something not so clear, it would be great to hear from that, because I'm already onboarded. in a way. So I know how to go around, but having someone who is new to the tag, giving their insights and giving their feedback, that's very valuable for us. So we can also improve the experience overall. Right. That's a screenshot from the Kubernetes documentation, but it's kind of very generic. So this is the Git workflow, which you can follow. Probably most of you already know how to use Git. If you don't, there's I would just refer to the guide. And it's like a process. Maybe if you do it for the first time, it's kind of scary. Because maybe you do it for the first time and you're concerned you'll do something wrong, but it's like the foundation of contributing to any open source project. So if you know this process in general, you learn something not specific to the tag, but you can contribute to any project in a way, because we manage everything in files. So, and everything is in the Git repository, or we try to get everything in the Git repository. This is the workflow to follow. Right, and that's already it for this session, but we have 7 minutes left. There are 2 QR codes for everyone who joined KubeCon, Cloud Native Con EU a couple of weeks ago. It would be very cool if you could check out those QR codes. The one on the left side is more tag specific. So if you have joined the tag meetup or the tag maintainer talk, or if you talk to us at the conference, it would be cool to hear your thoughts about maybe what we can improve and so on. So it's a retro issue. And the one on the right side is that we are writing a blog post about the conference, about what cloud native sustainability related things happened, were being discussed, and so on. And there's 3 questions. There's this link leads to a Google form, and there are 3 questions. What you got out of the conference, and this could be, I think, very cool for the community itself to also understand where we are at. And you would appear on the blog post, which we published to the CNCF blog. So maybe that's also cool for you. Right, are there any questions? Any questions also, or improvements for this kind of format? So we are planning to have this getting started session after every major conference, so maybe every quarter or so.
Yeah, I have a question. So I'm pretty new to the community, so I also don't know if this is the right question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So do you have a mentor-mentee program also for the tag, or is that something only specific to an open source project?
So, that's a great question. So we have we don't have a program for the tags. We have there's a lot of programs in general in the CNCF space. How to get started. For my part, I, for example, got started in Kubernetes in the release team. There's also a program, but we had this discussion at KubeCon where I proposed to establish a shadow program in the tags. So right now we don't have anything, but maybe we will establish something in the near future. But of course, it does not need a program if you're kind of sticking around. So you can always reach out to someone and maybe ask them kindly if they have some time and share some insights. But yeah, I mean, there's like always a problem that open source folks are kind of busy because most of the stuff is done in their free time and they have a full day job. So if you reach out to someone and they are saying that they don't have time, then that's that can happen. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Just have a quick question. As regards the landscape document, like when do you plan to like have the version 2? Because
Could you repeat the question? Was it? Yeah.
the landscape document,
Yeah.
when you plan to have the version 0.2, like when you plan to release that?
Yeah, so we're planning to, I mean, there's like, we don't have like a schedule set out. Our idea is to have it like every half year or so. It's one of the deliverables also to TUC. So the Technical Oversight Committee is aware where we're at. And I think the deliverable is due to end of the year. So probably we will have it in next version out maybe in November or a week or two before KubeCon NA. I think this could be a great deadline.
Okay, and do you have like a working team within the tag as regards this?
Right, so our working document is the one which we have on our website. So there's right now not really like a drop down where you can select version 0.1 or version 0.2. This is like more like a living document, and then at some point we say, okay, we have enough more info to say that we have like a new version, kind of, because we are not like it's not like a code base, so we can be more flexible in a way that we contribute directly to it. There's no build pipeline connected to it, and we don't break anything. But yeah, so you can just open up a PR directly and add to the document which is at the website. Very cool. Is there anything else? Do you feel you have like some overview how to get started with the tag? Or did this meeting missed their goal?
No, I think you did a great job overviewing the structure, and also I like the highlight of what are the current open issues.
All right, nice. Yeah, I mean, as I said, there's if you have like a particular interest in one area, this is not a final list. We can add to this.
Samir, great job, and thank you for inviting me. I will look at the list of issues. It's great that you also write down the number of the issues, so I know what to look for and start contributing.
Nice, cool. Yeah, I will also upload the slides in the Slack channel after this meeting, and maybe we can also upload it to the website. All right, awesome. I think we are at time. Thanks also, Christina, for taking notes and claiming co-host in a way.
Yes, thank you for a great presentation, Leo. That was a nice experience taking notes. There was listening and trying to make notes is not as easy as it seems from the outside.
I'm terrible at that. I cannot multitask at all. So I'm very grateful that you took this on.
Yeah.
All right, then see you all maybe next week or in Slack. So next week at the same time, we will have the presentation from Skafandra in the tag meeting. So you can also see how our usual meetings are being handled and so on. So thanks all for joining, and see you all around.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.